I want you to listen carefully. Do you notice anything different or unusual about this recording? Listen up. It's just the intro, but I want you to pay attention to the voices. See if anything sticks out as different.
Joshua picked the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Joshua picked the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down. Joshua picked the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Joshua picked the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down.
Now, if you listened to that recording and thought to yourself, you know what, something does sound a little bit off, I wonder if you can figure out that actually all of the tracks, all of the voices on that recording are actually my own voice. Every single one of those tracks. And I'm gonna prove it to you and wanna show you how to do this yourself in case you're interested, in case you're curious how to do this yourself. But before we dive into that, my name is Matthew Goronsky from MatthewGoronsky.com. I'm a choir director, composer, digital resource creator. And the recording that you just listened to is actually one of my latest arrangements called Joshua Fit the Battle of Jericho, Jericho. And oh, before I even get to that, thank you so much to the choir directors who've already programmed this. If you're interested in this particular arrangement, I'll have the link below in this video. Whenever I create an arrangement, I usually try and, especially for choir, I try and record my own voice. I usually record my own choirs. Oftentimes I'll record my church choir, and I'll mix it all together to make it sound as real as possible. A lot of times they're live recordings, which aren't, the best. Sometimes you get background noises. So for this one, almost every time, let me put it this way, almost every time that I've done a choir recording, I've looked into how can you turn your voice into a choir. And I always wished in Logic here that you could see, I always wished that there was a plugin, that was a specific plugin that you could just take one recording of your voice of a particular part and multiply it into various choir tracks, because that would just be so cool, number one. And I've messed with vocoders and other different plugins and stuff. And actually, you know what? Let me show you first what I used to do to create this choir effect. And this is my original recording. And obviously, I'm a tenor, baritone, but I've sung these parts in my own falsetto voice, and you're going to hear some of that. Here is the unedited, just my voice singing the soprano part to this.
Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down.
Now you can definitely hear that there's, that's my falsetto right there. And I obviously have some pitch correction on there and other things. Now, if I wanted to make this sound a little bit more feminine and a little less like me, what I used to do is I would look into one of these pitch vocal transformers, and I just want to show you how not good this is. And what I used to do is, so I want the pitch to remain the same, but I would try and change the format a little bit. And I'm just going to change it slightly, and I just want you to hear some of the difference here. Listen.
Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down.
And here's without that.
Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho.
So you can hear it does have an effect on it, but I just don't like that it makes it sound robotic. And especially when you have this in a mix with all these different voices, if you're editing a choir, it really sounds robotic. And so that's one of the tricks that I used to do. Let me shut this off now. Now I'm going to take this same, and I'm going to show you what I use to do this. It's actually not it's not a plugin for Logic. It's actually something that you could use with any DAW. And it's really cool. I recently found this out. I just figured, let me just try this out with this recording, and I was blown away. Now, I've messed with other AI, and I'm cutting to the chase here. This is an AI platform that was able to do this, and I've searched far and wide for quite some time. I've dabbled with something called 11 Labs, and actually, let me show you 11 Labs here. So 11 Labs is something where you can change the recording of your own voice. And the thing about 11 Labs, though, is it's really for speech purposes. And so what you could do is you could take a recording of your voice, or you can do text to speech, where you could actually type it out, and you can choose from all these different models and transform your voice. Very cool. But what I tried to do is I tried to take a recording of my voice singing and plug it into 11 Labs. But 11 Labs, the problem with 11 Labs is it doesn't it doesn't identify your the specific pitches that you're singing. So it would transform my voice to make it sound like someone else, but it wouldn't maintain the key and the specific notes that I was singing. Well, welcome to Audimee. Now, Audimee is from my experience, it seems like a relatively new AI platform. And what's really cool is that you can upload any recording of your voice or someone else's voice, and you could transform it, and it will maintain the specific pitches that you sing. You can even add vibrato. You can add basic tuning depending on the key that you're in. Very, very cool. There's other, if you're familiar, like 11 Labs has similar settings where you can kind of alter the pitch slightly, or the conversion strength, which is just going to impact the overall output of what you create. So this is the way it works: is you upload your selected file, and then you can select from all of these different voices that they have. Now, I'm in the paid plan, and if you're interested in trying this out, I have a link below. Feel free to try that out. You could basically try any one of these different voices. Now, you could also try this. I believe they have a free plan, but there's like only maybe 2 or 3 different voices you can try. And before you edit anything, you can actually go through and listen to the different voices that you have, and it'll play it back. Watch.
We won't hesitate to break down the garden gate. There's not.
It never fades away. Do you ever wonder?
Birds flying higher.
Now, you can already hear just by those little snippets that I played, these are very different voices. And that's the power, I think, of Audimee, is that it could really make your voice sound completely different. And let me show you now specifically. I'm going to isolate the tracks that you just heard before. Now, again, here's before and after. This was specifically, this was my voice of recording the soprano part, which is not ideal. I'm a tenor or baritone, but listen to it.
Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down.
Okay, and now listen to, this is the same exact track, same exact recording. Check this out.
Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho.
sound
Those
like me at all.
walls came tumbling,
Let's switch it to
tumbling
another soprano.
down. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho.
Or another
Joshua
one.
fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down.
And you can hear now. Part of the voices that I tried to select were voices that had very different timbres, because I wanted it to make it sound like a choir. So in a choir you would have very different textures of voices, different ranges and stuff. And what I like about this is I can control how produced it sounds, depending by how much pitch control I add, depending on how many different voices I have. But now, having gone through this process, and in case you forgot what the overall mix of this piece sounds like, I'm gonna mute my recordings here. So this is just the Audimee voices on soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Listen.
Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down. Joshua fit the battle of
Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down.
Tumbling, tumbling down.
You could hear different
Crumbling onto the
timbres
ground with one big shout in the name of the Lord.
Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho.
Now you can hear
Do I no chain?
there's some what's called phasing going on, because it's the same track where there's multiple takes of it. I noticed, if you listen carefully, that it will actually use some of the pronunciation of these different AI tracks, of these AI voices, which is really cool, because that's what, ideally, in trying to turn one voice into a choir, you want some slight differences in pronunciation, in enunciation, just to add to that real feel to it. But you can kind of hear this phasing that's going on in this section. Listen.
Too tight for the name of the
So you can hear, like, it almost sounds like
Too high.
the same track
No
duplicated.
sea,
Joshua
Where they
bit the
are.
battle.
too wide, no chain,
Joshua bit the battle.
too tight for the name
Joshua bit the
of the
battle.
Lord. No wall,
Joshua bit the
too
battle.
high, no sea,
Joshua bit the battle.
If I were to do this again, to avoid that kind of phasing that you hear of these different voices overlapping, is I would literally just do 2 takes of each part. And so now you have 8 voices, but if you take those 8 different tracks and were to use, let's say, 2 of each of those, so basically you're now getting into 16 different voices, which is really going to add to that feel of make it sound even more like a choir. And because if we're starting with 2 soprano tracks instead of that 1 soprano track like I used, I think it's going to eliminate some of that phasing that you hear here. And so again, this is just a basic how-to. So just to walk you through how I did this, obviously I recorded the accompaniment track here first, and then I recorded myself singing all of the different parts: soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. And then I took those individual tracks and I went into Audimee. I uploaded the track here, and then I basically, so you convert it, and depending on which plan, if it's the free plan or the pay plan, it kind of determines how many, or I think you have an hour, with an hour of processing with the first paid plan, and then it will basically convert it. You can select whichever voice that you want, and I would recommend going with a lot of diverse, different voices, just so to make it the choir voices stick out and sound more diverse overall, which is going to kind of make it sound less like one voice singing each part. And then once you convert it, you can play it back, or you can download it. And what I did is I downloaded all of these. You can see all these files that I have converted here. You download those files. I would add them into your DAW, in my case in Logic, and I would arrange them all. And if you could see, I pan them all just to kind of spread them out, just to add to that choir effect. And the results that you get is pretty cool.
Joshua bit the battle. 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 For the name of the Lord. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Those walls came tumbling, tumbling down. Every wall came tumbling, crumbling down. Joshua bit the battle of Jericho, Jericho.
And so you could see, basically I took one voice and turned it into essentially 16 different voices, if you include the soprano, alto, tenor, bass tracks that I recorded, and then all of the other AI tracks that I added through Audimee. Now, I'm sure, positive, that there are some of you who are going to watch this and say, hey, I'm a choir director. I don't know how I feel about this. You're taking real voices and then imitating them and stuff. I can go into a whole video on just the different use cases for technology like this. But suffice it to say, in the conversations about AI and the future, not just in choir directing spaces or in music engineering spaces or what have you, a lot of the conversation is, your job most likely is not going to be replaced by AI. However, there's a good chance that someone using AI is going to potentially replace or do your job better. And this is why I think us as educators, as choir directors, as musicians, it's really on us to use these amazing tools that we have at our fingertips. And of course, if there's a level of discomfort about it, I understand that. It's a new technology, but we get to decide. Those of us who are early adopters to this technology get to decide how this technology is used. Just as an example, I'm thinking about choir students in general. Like, what if you had a timid choir student who is concerned about they never liked the sound of their own voice? Oh my goodness, basically no one likes the sound of their own voice. But what if you could say, like, hey, I'm going to take your voice and I'm going to just plug it into this program real quick, and then you show them what their same voice can sound like. And it's a really great conversation, especially when it comes to vocal education, saying, well, what's the difference between your recording of your voice and this AI recording? What did the AI do better? And how can you maybe emulate some of these positive vocal principles that you hear in this, it's a great tool to learn, in my opinion, and a great tool if you don't have a choir at your fingertips. This is really cool, and I think moving forward, pretty much with most of my choir recordings, I think I'm either going to use it to this extent that you hear here, or I might add it in to some of my actual choir recordings. This is such a cool tool. If you're interested in it, check out Audimee. I'll leave the affiliate link in the description below for this video. And again, if you're interested in Joshua Fit the Battle of Jericho, there's all different voicings available. Thank you to those of you who've already programmed it. And I'll leave a link in the description below for this video as well. Again, my name's Matthew Goronsky. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.